Okay, national home prices just broke another record for the ninth time in the last 12 months. Jerome Powell's Federal Reserve is stuck in a self-defeating paradox that makes cutting rates more difficult, and homebuyers are starting to revolt over the steep prices across the United States. Why wouldn't they, right? I just heard we're going to be sitting at $500,000 as the new average price in our country. That's unsustainable. That, my friends, and more from Mortgage Shots today. Stay tuned.
Get started, did you know that only 18% of you guys who watch us are subscribed? So please make sure to subscribe to our channel, leave a like if you're enjoying it. It really helps us out a lot.
Okay, so back to the story. National home prices just broke another record for the ninth time in the last 12 months.
According to an S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller index released the other day, we're missing between roughly 2 to 7 million homes, and that shortage has only been exacerbated by the lock-in effect, as homeowners refuse to sell for fear of losing their low mortgage rates in our higher rate environment. Because there are not enough homes to go around, prices don't really have room to fall, and in March, they rose 6.5% from the year earlier.
San Diego saw its home prices rise the most, reporting an 11.1% increase in March compared to a year earlier, which Luke called an impressive gain. New York was next, with home prices rising 9.2%. Oh, and it doesn't stop there.
According to a senior Redfin economist, it's not just home prices. The Sunbelt is seeing some of the biggest rent declines. The good news is that the uptick in the housing supply in the Sunbelt has improved affordability for renters, which can be a lesson for other American cities grappling with the housing affordability challenges.
Yep, we get to be a country of renters. That's what the future seems to hold for us right now. Anyways, the article ends off by saying, apart from home prices, mortgage rates are substantially higher than they were throughout the pandemic and years before. As of this latest reading, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is sitting at 7.14%. Now, there is hope that rates are going to cool down through the rest of this year, but even if they do, it's unlikely to reverse the level of deterioration in housing affordability since the pandemic, where the salary Americans need to buy a starter home has almost doubled over the past 4 years. The cost of owning a home is the highest on record, and renters need to make almost $80,000 just to afford a single rent.
Are you considering selling your home despite the current high mortgage rates? Tell us why or why not. What do you think is going to happen with mortgage rates in the next 6 months?
Do you think prices are going to continue to rise? Now share your predictions in the comments and let us know down below. Hey guys, Brian Stevens with the National Real Estate Post. Listen, we have 4 investment loans going on with Truly right now, and I expect that number to increase. The cool thing was, I didn't even know it was happening a couple of days ago. Lenders, realtors, title, escrow, insurance folks, anybody can sign up because Truly is only doing investment properties, hence it doesn't affect your NMLS number. So if you've already signed up, listen, these guys are calling you. Your personal inside account rep, pick it up. And if you haven't signed up yet, why wouldn't you? Fill it out, it's right down below. Moving on, according to an article in Fortune, Jerome Powell's Federal Reserve is stuck in a self-defeating paradox that makes cutting rates even more difficult.
The Bloomberg U.S. Financial Condition Index indicates that the availability and cost of credit across money, bond, and equity markets are significantly more favorable today than when the Fed began raising rates in March of 2022.
Isn't that surprising? Despite the Fed raising rates, financial conditions are more favorable now. Now, what do you think is causing this?
Well, that's due to the central bank's pivot in November when Chairman Jerome Powell signaled that inflation was cooling enough to halt rate hikes and start thinking about when rate cuts could begin. And this is according to Apollo's chief economist.
Yeah. Slock estimated that the S&P 500 stock index has added $9 trillion in market cap since then and compared it to the $19 trillion in consumer spending last year.
In other words, in a few months, the household sector has experienced a windfall gain corresponding to about 50% of last year's consumer spending.
How's that gain even possible? It doesn't make sense. So 50% just goes straight into profit to these S&P companies? What about the cost of, building a refrigerator? Anyways, this is where we're at. It's just a massive gain, guys. In just a few months, households have gained the equivalent of half of last year's consumer spending.
The article then goes on to say, the economy was so strong earlier this year that inflation readings came in above forecasts and showed signs of reaccelerating. That forced Powell to warn that rates could stay high for as long as needed because inflation appeared to be taking longer than anticipated to reach the Fed's 2% target. Still, he later acknowledged that further rate increases were unlikely and reaffirmed that the Fed's next move, whenever that will be, is likely a rate cut.
I mean, if you think people aren't feeling this, look at the comments on this article that we can see Reddit user Satoshi Snaps says. Rate cuts are not going to do anything. And Creative Ad 8338 said the Fed can't afford to cut rates. You do realize this also impacts the interest paid by the federal government, right? The current high rates are completely unsustainable.
According to CBO's predictions, interest payments would total around $77 trillion over the next 30 years and would take up 34% of all federal revenues by 2054. Interest costs would also become the largest program over the next few decades, surpassing defense spending in 2024 and Social Security in 2051. We now spend more on interest than our entire defense budget.
Yeah, and the article ends by saying, minutes from the Fed's last policy meeting revealed that the economy's resilience in the face of the rates at 23-year highs has prompted some officials to wonder whether all their tightening was exerting enough pressure on growth. Higher rates may be having a smaller effect than they've had in the past. Hey guys, listen, I know this is a lot of information to digest. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. What do you think about it? Do you think that the Fed's current strategy of high interest rates is sustainable in the long run? Or do you agree with the users on Reddit that it's completely unsustainable? I'm leaning that direction. But let us know what you think down in the comments. And moving on to our final story for the day. Homebuyers are starting to revolt over the steep prices all across the United States.
According to Redfin, sellers are grappling with the fact that higher for longer rates are choking off demand during what is typically the key season for the market. And more of those owners are cutting asking prices than any time since November of 2022 as inventory grows stale. With mortgage rates rising back over 7%, the willingness of homebuyers to take a stab this season is diminished. Says Ralph McLaughlin, who's a senior economist at Realtor.com, you can have high prices or you can have high mortgage rates, but you can't have both for long.
And Robert Frick, a corporate economist for the Navy Federal Credit Union, had this to say: without the rate cuts, a cold reality is settling down on the housing market. While sales are falling on average in the United States, geography matters. The Sunbelt markets include Florida and Texas, which had boomed with the influx of new arrivals during the pandemic. Well, they're all now cooling down in part because people have been priced out. Meanwhile, metro areas in the West, such as Seattle and the San Francisco Bay Area, had sharper corrections in late 2022 and are already beginning to recover. This again, according to Redfin. The article ends by saying this: along Florida's southwestern coast, a boom region hard hit by soaring home insurance rates, the number of active listings for single-family home listings in the Punta Gorda area has doubled to 2,143 over the past year.
Meantime, the median sale price for a single-family home fell by almost $30,000 to $351,000 in April from a year ago. And that's according to Leanne Walker, a local broker and the president of Realtors of Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, North Port, DeSoto, Inc. Woo, that was a long one. It's gotten very flat, Walker said. It has become very much a buyer's market. Lots of price reductions happening.
And as always, we'd like to hear your thoughts on all of this. First, are you considering selling your home despite the current high mortgage rates? Why or why not? What do you think is going to happen with mortgage rates in the next 6 months? Do you think that they're going to go up? Or do you think they're going to go down or stay around the same? And do you think home prices will continue to rise, or will we see a significant correction soon? Share your predictions with us down below.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so that you never miss an update. We post content regularly to keep you informed about the latest in the housing market and financial news. Thanks a bunch, you guys. We'll see you next time.